Okay, here is part two of the news roundup for this morning, the 31st of July. The first is this rather heart-wrenching image of a chap whose father was killed during the Maidan coup. He was a bus driver in Ukraine, and I think it's really important that people do understand that a lot of the people fighting for Russia have very personal and very deep stories that make them want to see this through. This is not as cut and dry as the West likes to paint it as, and in my understanding, this comes down to an invasion of Ukraine from America in 2013. A couple of stories from Australia now. US military presence in Australia unprecedented since World War II. And it seems that the US is building up to transform Australia into a base for offensive US operations into Asia. And this is essentially after Japan has said that they're not interested in more bases there. They are also talking about establishing a combined intelligence centre within Australia's Defence Intelligence Organisation by 2024. This is going to significantly impact trade between Australia and China, and that is not something that most Australians want. That's not something any Australians have voted for, and I would be very concerned if I was Australian, as I am concerned as a Brit, at this increase in military activity in my country. I mean, this is just hilarious. This is talking about Ukraine starting negotiations with the United States on provision of security guarantees, but I just think that picture is just too funny to not put up 50% off your I Stand With Ukraine shirt. Obviously not selling well enough to do another run of that particular t-shirt in this gift shop, Disney gift shop. I don't know, it looks like Orlando, Florida or something. My goodness, just too funny. Lithuania plans to replace sewer manholes that date back to the USSR. The destruction of monuments, and this is a manhole cover. Hopefully TikTok won't take offence to it, but there are countless monuments that are destroyed every day in Ukraine and Poland, USSR relevance, and you're not gonna remake these things. They are beautifully made, and they are an example of the history of these countries, and they are literally throwing that away in order to follow this neo-colonial Nazi path. I don't know how else to put it, but I don't know how they've got the money or the time to even think, we really should do something about those pothole covers. It's nonsense, manhole covers. It's just absolute nonsense. This was interesting. The MOD have destroyed 43 Challenger tanks that could have gone to Ukraine, and that disposal cost the taxpayer more than $4 million. But I assume the Ministry of Defence is thinking it's going to cost more if those tanks end up on the battlefield and get burned up. No Challenger 2s have gone onto the Ukrainian battlefield yet, despite training for the Challenger 2s finishing in the spring and them being ready to go. Whether that's because all of the depleted uranium rounds they were sent with were destroyed, maybe it's because, as we've been told, the UK intelligence have asked Zelensky and his team not to use them on the battlefield because they are worried about how it will look. Probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but they are obviously far more up for destroying these tanks than they are sending them to Ukraine. Kirby has once again clarified that America will not be manoeuvring warships to the Black Sea to assist with Ukrainian grain shipments. citing a need to prevent further escalation with Russia, and suggesting that it would be akin to the Americans getting involved in the war. I think it's quite clear the Americans are already involved in the war, but I think this just shows how weak America is, and how America doesn't want to have burned out ships like it's having burned out tanks and armoured vehicles appearing in newspapers to show that its hegemony of the waves as well as the land has now gone. And I think its hegemony of the air will be tested soon enough. And when that's gone, what does America really have? The US is stuck in I'm not even going to say it. They're all old, basically. There is an average age of 64 in the House of Representatives. The Senate's average age is 64, while the House of Representatives has an average age of 57. And they're saying that the majority of these people are ancient, whilst they make up only 21% of the population. So they really shouldn't be so highly represented in the House. You know, it doesn't make any sense that there are people in their ninth decade performing this job is just laughable. And I think it's a clear example of why we have such terrible leadership coming out of America at the moment. These people don't care what happens tomorrow. They might not be here. This, of course, comes on the back of two real low points in American politics, where two of these, Dianne Feinstein and Mitch McConnell, have had to be prompted to the point of forcing to continue with their jobs because they are just too old to really know where they are or what they're doing. And it just makes you think it's cruelty, isn't it? You know, it is cruelty to use people in this way. So there's a bit of news. I am going to be releasing some information on Wednesday on my Patreon with my friend Warren Thornton, who will be releasing some news at the same time on his Patreon, and then 24 hours later we'll be releasing that news to the world. I also wanted to say I have built a Diplomacy is Free Telegram group where you can go, you can look at the news, and then you can also comment on news articles, which I really, really hope people do, because I would like it to be a space of different cultures, different experiences, different understandings, where people can clarify things, where they can give more weight to stuff, where people can explain how things are being portrayed in their own countries. That's my kind of plan for the page, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. So please do go and check it out. It's at Diplomacy is Free Chat, and you can go and you can find that there. The other news I wanted to give personally is that I will be adding a video to my Patreon today. It's a video that I've wanted to do for a while, and it is a kind of blanket look at who I blame for what's happening in Ukraine at the moment, the war there. It's I suppose a bit of an open video to the various actors involved, and it will go into some detail about what my experience is of this and why I feel the way I do. I will release that to the public tomorrow, but it will be available from this afternoon on my Patreon. If you'd like to join my Patreon, I'll pop my link below, and you can also buy me a coffee if you want to support my work. It really does enable me to support my young family and continue to put lots of time and effort into my news, which is great. And otherwise, please do subscribe to my channel, think about coming to join us on Telegram, and have a blessed day. All the best.